Hey everybody!
Good morning!
YouTube! Guys, I figured out how to do YouTube Live. Welcome YouTubers. If you are watching, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. This episode is going to be hopefully incredibly fun. Have you all made mistakes before and then learned to laugh at them? Because I'm working on that on myself. I used to be a person that would make mistakes, look around and hope nobody noticed, stuff it down in my brain and forget I did it, and hope nobody noticed my flaws. If people caught me as a grown-ass adult, I would lie about my faults. I did this in my 20s, in my 30s, okay? I don't do it anymore. I don't know when I stopped. Sometime in my mid-30s, I think I stopped. And now, literally seconds after I make a mistake and I realize it's funny, I cannot wait to tell all of my loved ones that will listen to me so we can laugh about it. So I've had a complete turnaround, and I just want to say it's a lot more fun to be this way. What about you guys?
I don't know what you're talking about, Sarah. I never make mistakes ever. I'm perfect.
Yeah,
I used
same.
to be.
Alas, I have never fallen. I have never stumbled.
No,
But I will have fun laughing at you here.
yeah. I mean, I've never spilled coffee down the front of myself while in a Zoom work meeting. I've never done that. So it's going to be interesting to hear your story, Sarah. What's it like being a disaster? Scott and I are over here just like floating all the time.
Side note, remember all those like live during COVID, the like people like their spouse would be like naked in the background or something for like a split second. Oh my gosh, those stories were so funny during that depressing pandemic. So shout out to those. Thanks to everybody that
And what kills me about that is that even in 2024, I mean, meetings that I was in, when I still didn't know when to mute, didn't know where their camera was. They're in the cameras like this. And we're like, we can't see you. I'm like, we've been doing this for 4 years. How do we still suck at virtual meetings? Like,
remember the guy that made himself a cat?
Yeah, and he knew how to turn it off. That was like 2023.
I love that so much.
Gosh.
Thank you, person that released that in the world. Oh, and I love the one where the kids broke into the room and the mom came in and like was picking them up. Those brought me so much joy. I watched it like 15
interview or something. That was so funny.
So guys, I'm going to try to share about my really weird surgery day with the hopes that I can make you all laugh. And also the whole point of this, because Project Next Media, the whole point of all the shows is to make your life better. So the whole point of doing this is to encourage you all to share your all's faults with people that love you so that you can see it's so much better to share than to hide and act like you're perfect and try to be perfect like society tells us to. So, okay. Are you all ready for my surgery day? Interrupt me when you got
so let's remember, y'all. So the last time we were live was surgery eve. So that was Wednesday night. We had a doctor with us. We had Dr. Tim Peck with us because it was a medical show. We could not do that without supervision. And so that was surgery eve. So that was Wednesday the 11th, and then you went in Thursday the 12th, just to give people a little background. So yes, surgery day, Sarah.
Okay, so yes, here's my surgery. It went fine. I gotta wait a week for results or so to find out if I need more surgery and radiation. So keep you updated on that, you all. So surgery morning, I get up, get the kids out the door for school. I hadn't eaten, so I was hungry and thirsty, but I was fine, nervous. My husband gets up super early. He had stayed up late. He mopped the whole house, sanitized. I washed all the sheets. We followed all the directions. I had to take a shower the night before in surgery soap, and then I had to do it again Thursday morning. Surgery soap, serious. And then the morning of, I'm taking the shower. I get out and I go, honey, I'm putting on the easiest clothes I can think of for you to help me put clothes on. I was like, I'm putting on pajama pants and I'm putting on my 14-year-old's flannel button shirt, because I literally don't own any of those, and slippers. But I was like, but I'm wearing a bra because I don't want to not wear a bra. So you're going to have to put that on. Chris looks at me like I'm nuts. he's like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to be putting your clothes on. They're going to do that. And I'm like, well, at my dad's surgery a couple weeks before, I had to put his clothes on. I was like, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to. And he is just full on, I am wrong. And my husband does this. He does this all the time. It's really funny. So he's 100%, nope, I'm not putting your clothes on. So I just ignore him and I continue speaking. And I'm like, so I'm wearing a bra, and I explain the outfit, and then I go about the day. We'll hear about that later. Okay, so then we drive to Louisville. It's about 35 minutes away. We get to Norton Hospital, and we go to a bunch of various places to sign in, and we end up going to like almost the basement. I think the morgue was under us. But we're in like underground or something. And we walk in, and there's like a bunch of people in this big room, and you can tell that person's getting surgery. They're wearing pajamas. That's the person taking them home. You know, you can like tell all of us are getting surgery that morning. So we sign in, they call us back. Chris and I go in this tiny room with like a shower curtain. It is freaking freezing in there. It feels like 50 degrees or something.
So cold. And they give you
and my husband asks, like, we say something like, boy, it's cold. And they're like, yeah, that's to help with germs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but this is awful. So I get out of my clothes and put on my little gown. And then they like hook up a plastic bag of warm air and put it on me. Have you seen this?
It's like an insulating thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But so the bottom half of me is warm. The top half of me is freezing. They put in my little, if you can see it, I don't know, I can't get it in this. Anyway, they put in the IV, and that hurts, and it's kind of sore. And then I'm like ready to go. I'm like, okay, let's get this surgery going. And I'm like nervous. I can't really like read my book because I'm too nervous. And we sit there for 2 hours waiting for surgery in the freezing cold room. My husband has his hoodie on. He is freezing. His like face is like numb. And I am so freaking bored. I am so bored. I get desperate. My husband wants me to watch Dune 2. I've seen the first one when it came out a long time ago, but I'm kind of not into Dune anymore. But I'm going to watch it for my husband. And so I am so freaking bored. I literally asked my husband to describe for me the plot of Dune 1 because I don't remember it. I can't believe I did this. Like, that's how bored I was, because we had talked about everything. We'd ran out of things to talk about. I ran out of things to look at on my phone. I'd look at all of Facebook. Like, I'm done. I've played all my Words with Friends. So I'm listening to the plot of Dune.
This is like the olden times where it's like, gather around, let me tell you a story. Like, there's no television. You just have to be like, hey, husband, what's some stupid thing you like? Can you tell me about it? Because I'm bored.
What I ran into that. I'm like, what do I not know? I know everything about him. Like, he tells me everything. I mean, I think if I would have been really desperate, I would have asked him to tell me about his work, but I wasn't that desperate. We didn't go into work territory. So anyway, finally, it's 1:00. Like, I got there at 10:30. It's 1:00. They come in and they give me the IV to put me to sleep. And they go, you're going to feel like stinging. And I'm like, ooh, it was like cold and stingy, and I could feel it. And then they wheel me into the surgery room. And I've had surgery several times. And I always remember I fall asleep under the big surgery light. So I'm talking. I'm just blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I'm just talking, saying stuff to them. And then I'm just out. Like, I don't remember falling, but I'm out. And I wake up. Obviously, the surgery's over. The surgery lasted a little over an hour. And I am so tired. They're like telling me to do stuff, and I want to laugh. I'm like, I'm sleeping. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm sleeping. And I did not realize this until that night. But I was doing what they were telling me to do, but I couldn't feel my body. So it was such a weird experience. They're saying stuff, they're talking to me, and I'm just thinking, this is funny. They're thinking I'm doing stuff, but I actually am doing stuff.
Because it's like you're moving through like not even water, but it's like you're in Jello or something. It's like like everything is super slow in your head, but you might look normal on the outside. It's just like your head's not catching up with the rest of your body. It's so weird.
It was so weird. So then, okay, this is the part. that I wish I had my phone on and I wish I was recording it, like video recording it. Okay. So everybody, this was the best moment of the day. My husband comes in, the nurse goes, "All right, you ready to get your wife dressed?" And then my husband goes, "Oh, my wife told me this and I didn't believe her." And then he goes, "I don't know why I don't believe her. She's usually right." And I'm like, "Where's the recording?" I'm like so nauseous. I'm so sleepy, but I'm aware enough to be like, "Why aren't we recording this? This is so, I feel so happy right now."
Well, and like his resistance to believe you about something that you probably know about, since you're the one preparing for surgery in the first place, it's just like, "Chris, honey, I know you're anxious, but it's got to come out in another way. Don't just doubt what she says."
But this happens all the time. And so it's one of my great joys of being married to this incredible man is he does this all of the time. He is so insistent he's going to be right. So anyway, he's saying all these funny things. He's like, "Geez, she's harder to get dressed than my daughter." Because my daughter's really hard after her bath. She's like wiggling all around. And I'm just like, that's funny. They're talking about getting me dressed, but I'm just sleeping. But he's literally getting me dressed. And he's like, "Sarah, lift up. I can't get your underwear on. Lift up." And I am just like, why are they talking about getting me dressed? And then he goes, "Oh, it's hard to put a bra on." And the nurse goes, "Bet it's a lot easier for you to take it off." And then they both just go, "Ah." And I'm like, this is so weird. But I could not feel it. I could not feel any of the clothes being put on me. So I got home and later I noticed like buttons were missing and stuff, but he did great. He got the clothes on. And then I remember I was so nauseous. And they gave me this little packet of thing that's called Queeze Ease, and you smell it, and it helps you not throw up. And it works. And I think a lot of cancer patients that take chemo take it. And so that was really nice. And then I was like, I think I'm going to throw up. And so they gave me one of those. They gave me 2 bags to take with me. So then the hardest part, the only part I remember is I had to have my eyes open to get into the wheelchair. So I remember what the wheelchair looks like. I remember them helping me get in the wheelchair, but I don't remember anything else. I don't remember the long, like, push me to the car that Chris had gotten and pulled up in the parking garage. So I don't remember getting in the car. I remember the car ride home, going over the bridge. I remember hitting potholes. I remember being like, this is so hard to not throw up. Like, I am so nauseous. So now I need to tell you a side note about my children. So I have 6-year-old twins, boy-girl twins, and a 14-year-old boy. And my 6-year-old boy, Asher, brought us all home a stomach bug less than a month ago. And we went through the terrible process of throwing up. And it traumatized Asher, my 6-year-old. And he is terrified of throwing up now. He's terrified of viruses. So we have spent weeks reassuring him he's not going to throw up anymore. And he's like, he wakes up and the first thing he says is, "Am I going to throw up?" And we're like, no. We had to look up kids' YouTube virus videos and show them to him to teach him about viruses.
Poor kid.
And every day, dozens of times, we are reassuring that kid he's not going to throw up. So I know my only job as a parent coming home from this surgery is to not throw up in front of Asher. That's it. That's all I got to do. And I can do it. I'm a good mom. I'm going to do it. That's all I have to do.
That's what makes you a good mom, is not vomiting in front of you.
I'm not going to throw up in front of my child.
It's a low bar. It's a low bar.
That's it. That's all I have to do. Okay. So we get home, we get in the garage. I feel terrible. We don't make it inside. I throw up. Just ginger ale, so it's not particularly gross. Then I'm like, okay, I just threw up. I think I can make it. I threw up not in front of Asher. Chris opens up. We have 2 doors to get inside. We have the cat room, which is the laundry room, and then we have another door which opens into the kitchen, which is right next to Asher's chair where he is sitting. So we open up the door. My mother-in-law, my mom, my kids are there, and they're all finishing dinner. So they're all right there. So we open up the door. I shuffle in. Chris is helping me. I'm 6 inches from Asher. I throw up.
Oh, no.
And I pee my pants. I pee all down my pajamas into my slippers. And I get to throw it up and I go, I just freaking peed in my pajamas. And I was like, I can't believe I did that. That's what I say. I realize now I wasn't in control of my body, you know, the anesthesia. So
You failed that
I'm so mad and
on
upset.
so many levels.
And
Not only did you throw up right in front of your kids, you peed too.
As soon as I do it, Asher goes, am I going to throw up? Is mommy going to make me sick? Am I going to throw up? Just, I mean, that's all. And we're all rushing. No, Asher, it's sick. She's sick from surgery. They gave her medicine that made her sick. You won't throw up. So we're all, I'm saying it, Mom's saying it, Liz is saying it, Chris is saying it. We're all, and then I'm just like, I have to go take a shower and all I want to do is sleep. I'm so freaking tired. So I go and take a shower and I just spray the bottom half of me because I'm not supposed to get this wet. So I get changed, I lay down and I sleep. And then I'm so freaking nauseous. But the doctor said I should try to eat. And they said a lot of the patients either eat a full meal or they eat toast or soup. It just depends on how you feel. Okay, so then this is another really ironic thing that's going on. So my 14-year-old Micah has been reading The Fault in Our Stars.
Oh.
Yeah. So he started
reading
reading
it for school or did he pick it?
Yeah, for school.
So they picked it for
So the
school.
whole class read it. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
So the whole class read it. And he starts reading it the week I find out about the thyroid cancer, probably cancer.
Oh no.
He comes home. It's about 2 days after finding out about my illness, whatever you call it, my illness. And he comes home and he goes, Mom, Hazel from Fault in Our Stars has thyroid cancer that spread to her lungs and it's terminal. And I was like, honey, I don't have that type of cancer. And it didn't spread to my lungs. We found it soon. But what are the chances that that's the book of the week? So
thank goodness he's old. I mean, thank goodness he's old enough to kind of process it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which is why they picked, that book in that age group. But that's why I was wondering if he just like chose it at random or if it was a class thing but gosh, that is pretty crazy.
And it's a great book. I've read the book. I've seen the movie already. Yeah. Have you guys read
you got to read that in school while you still can.
Yes, that's right.
No, seriously. Thank God my kids still can still read that book. Yeah.
I've not seen the movie, no.
Oh, the movie's great. So then my son wants to watch the movie. He just finished the book a couple days ago. So we had already started the movie. So he came in. That's my favorite time to be with my 14-year-old. He comes in at night after the twins go to bed and we either read together or we watch a movie together. So we were watching Fault in Our Stars. So how weird to be having the surgery to get the cancer or the going to be cancer thing out of me and to sit in that bed with my 14-year-old and to watch the movie about the girl with the terminal cancer, the thyroid cancer. So we're watching that and that's kind of nice. But then I'm just like, it's so painful to watch it. It's so painful to watch children have these illnesses. I was just very thankful my own children didn't have cancer and it was me. Like if I had to pick, I would 1,000 times pick me out of anybody to have the cancer. So he then goes to bed and I'm like, well, I guess I should eat something. My husband had been working all day. Super husband, super dad. He's been doing everything. He's exhausted because again, he cleaned the house the night before, stayed up late. He's been doing everything to try to take care of me and the kids. And of course, my mother-in-law and my mom have been helping too. But it's mostly Chris. And then I'm like, okay, I'll try to eat some chicken noodle soup because Liz made me homemade chicken noodle soup, homemade noodles, delicious. So he heats me up a bowl of that with toast. And he helps me go in there and sit down at the kitchen. I don't bring my bowl with me. I'm feeling pretty good. And then he does this sigh because all the kids are asleep. He does this. Okay. He goes, I'm going to go down in the basement and work on my music, which is his favorite thing to do when he's stressed out. And he wrote the song, the Project Next song.
He's a
talented musician. So he goes downstairs. I slowly eat. I'm slowly just eating the broth. 20 minutes later, I instantly get sick. I'm like, I'm so stupid. I didn't bring the bowl with me. I throw up all over the floor. I call my husband on the phone. he answers, I can't talk. I'm just going, and so he rushes up. And then I go, I'm so sorry. I didn't get the bowl. Can you clean this up? So my poor husband had the longest day, and then he had to clean that up. And then it's been better since then. So that was my
crazy.
surgery day.
So the next day, so Friday, Sarah texted me like, it was early-ish. I don't know, it was 8-ish, maybe 8:30. I get a text from Sarah and a picture of her like sitting in bed, looking gorgeous, like with her bandage on, but that's kind of the only thing you can tell that anything happened. But I was like, okay, way to go. Like, she's like, yesterday sucked, but I feel great
I felt
today.
so much better the next morning because I wasn't nauseous.
That anesthesia really just messes with you.
I hate
like
anesthesia.
Yeah. And that, like, so if you want to hear funny stories about anesthesia, so first, like, do you guys remember when, and maybe it was during Vine, do y'all remember when Vine was a thing? Like, and people were posting those clips of their kids that had just had wisdom teeth surgery. Yes. And I always hoped that, like, it had been a couple of years and maybe the kid was like 20 at that point, and then they consented to that being all over the internet. Because the thought of, like, as a parent, just doing that to your kid when they have no say in it really kind of creeped me out. But I am somebody that is like I don't do well. I've only been under anesthesia twice in my life, and I don't do well. It just takes me a really long time to get out of it. Like, I'm a couple of days kind of person. And I just remember, I picture my mom, because I got my wisdom teeth out in high school. I did not do well with the anesthesia. It was several days so that I was just kind of like a loopy mess. And I remember getting up on a Sunday morning and I was like, hey, Mom, I think I'm feeling better. Like, I'm feeling good. I'm going to go to church with you guys. And she was like, okay, well, go upstairs and get ready. So she said when she saw me walking down the stairs and saw the outfit that I had put together, she took one look at me and was like, oh no, honey, you're not ready. Go back to bed. Everything I had put on did not make any sense. Funny. So she was just knew that my mind still wasn't right. But yeah, I'm so glad you felt better the next day. Cause like, it takes me days. Hopefully I won't have to be under anesthesia again anytime soon, but it takes me such a long time. I hate it. I hate that feeling.
I don't like anesthesia. It makes me so nauseous. I can handle sleepy. I don't like nausea.
Yeah.
And I have so much compassion for people that have nausea all the time, because a lot of illnesses, a lot of medicine, a lot of things come with that.
Yep.
And that's a humbling experience. So anybody that experiences that often, my heart goes out to you. It's terrible.
Gosh.
Yeah. Then the bad thing that happened to me was Friday night, I got my period at 3 a.m. I'm like cramping super bad. And I'm like, oh no, this is a bad time. I'm not even over surgery. And I just want to say my cramps are 1,000 times worse than recovering from surgery. Also, I have had no pain medicine. I've taken nothing. I only have whatever they gave me in the hospital.
Well, that's pretty good. So it's not like this.
My neck's sore. Like, this hurts, but it's not unbearable or anything.
I wonder if it's just it's not like, because your thyroid is like right there under the skin. So they're not having to go through like.
She kept telling me I wasn't going to be that bad.
Yeah, like it's not.
And I was like, I hope she's
going
right.
through muscle stuff. Because you had a C-section.
I was really worried it was going to hurt my, so much better than a C-section. That was so
that's going through so many layers. Like, this is the skin.
Yes.
So.
And I had a tummy tuck too. We'll have to talk about that another day. That was way worse. So, she told me it wasn't going to be that bad. And she was right. But she said my voice might be sore. But my voice is better than when I had the biopsy. When I had the biopsy, which that hurt a lot. That hurt too. That hurt as much as this did. It made my bad part of the thyroid that we're worried about get real big, and it was sitting on my voice box or whatever, and it really made it hard to talk. And I'm in the middle of campaigning. I had like speeches and live interviews and all kinds of crazy stuff, and my voice it hurt to talk. So the relief I feel now that my voice, it is easier to talk than it was a few days ago is really giant.
And that's like, yeah, because Sarah called me on Friday, and like as soon as she started talking, it was such a relief because her voice sounded like it was a little scratchy, probably just because like she was tired, but like you sounded great. And knowing that is such a worry going into a surgery.
Yeah, that was probably my biggest worry.
Yeah, that you're going to come out and your voice isn't going to be okay. Like, whew, what a relief. Because we got some time, because that's what she said. She's like, I love to talk. Like this.
Yeah.
What if
I mean, I'll figure it out. I'll be fine. But gosh, can I please just keep being able to talk?
Please keep my voice. Oh my gosh.
Okay. So the reason we're talking about this today, everybody, is because it is so much more fun to openly share your embarrassing life things. I used to not. I used to act like I was perfect. If my husband teased me about a mistake I made that he noticed, I would literally get mad at him. If anybody else noticed, I would get mad and then deny it and act like I didn't do anything wrong. I grew up in a household where I guess you were just expected to be perfect. And I grew up in a house of musicians, and they are very hard on themselves. Yeah. Musicians, like my mom was a music teacher, my dad was in the Louisville Orchestra, my sister was an incredible musician, got a lot of attention, went to Bloomington for it on a scholarship and stuff. And so I think that atmosphere led to the we're not allowed to make mistakes, and I don't have that anymore, and my life is so much better. Like, it is so fun to say, you guys, I threw up and peed in my pants right next to my kid that's terrified of throwing up. And it's so funny. And I can't wait to like share that story with Asher when he's a little bit older so he can laugh at it.
Well, and hopefully it's kind of trial by fire for this poor kid. Like getting a stomach bug and like, because I remember when my kids, and Scott, you probably remember this too, like when your kids throw up for the first time when they're little, they're so confused. They don't understand, which I'm like, I get it. They've just been taking things in their whole life. They have no realization that stuff can come out. And so, yeah, so now Asher has learned that not only can it come from a virus, it can also come from like a result of medication or a result of
whatever surgery. That is, whatever mom just had made her throw up. This is terrible. I'm factoring it into the other times. Yeah, and Asher projectile vomited at my mother-in-law's house the first time. And it was so traumatizing. Whenever he went back to school, the first thing he did was he got on the bus, stopped, looked at Miss Geneva, our bus driver, and goes, I threw up all over my grandma's house.
And he was probably like, that's not an exaggeration. That's literally what happened.
I mean, I think he told every adult at that school. Yeah. I think everybody knows that he threw up at his grandma's house because, this is traumatic.
It's a whole new, this is Asher was one person before the vomiting. He is a different person now. He is forever changed.
He really is. We had to look up how to handle it because I'm like, it traumatized him so much he thought he was sick for like weeks after when he wasn't sick. We had to. You guys, you don't even. I'm sure some of you understand with kids and fixations, but I wasn't like this. But apparently my husband was. My husband got, when he was little. You know how we're 80s kids. Well, he was born in 78. I was born in 80. When I was in first grade, we got trained about HIV and AIDS and how you catch it and how you don't catch it. And so he is, I don't know what grade. I was in first grade, so he would have been in like fourth or fifth grade. And he got obsessed with getting HIV for like months. So his mom ended up taking him to the doctor so the doctor could explain it. And then he finally let it go. So, and my husband's a freaking genius. Like, he is a legit genius. But then now he's like embarrassed that he had that happen when he was a kid. But I'm like, no, we need to understand it because it's happening through our little genius Asher. And we got to figure out how to help him with it now. Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. So, okay. So your all's homework, everybody's, including Scott and Corinne's and me, is when we mess up to tell someone that loves us and laugh. So now I want to know, do you have any stories? Because if not, I got lots more. But do you all have any? What are you willing to share, for the entire world? That's all.
Well-
I'm not asking for much.
Well, I mean, gee, while we're on vomit,
Yeah, let's do it.
so I was in, say, probably third grade, and we lived like 2 doors from the high school. And my grandma was watching me and my sisters, and we went over to the high school that evening for the show choir. No, it was my elementary school, like the 5th and 6th graders. They were doing a musical, but at the high school's performing arts center. Okay, so my grandma took us over there to see it, and at one point I did not feel good, and I had to get up and go find the bathroom because I was going to be sick. Well, I didn't know my way around the high school,
Oh, no.
so I'm running through the high school like, chipmunk cheeks, like trying to keep it down, and looking for a bathroom, and I did not make it.
Oh no!
How old were you?
Like 8.
Aw.
Just all over the high school floor, surrounded by, God, I don't know, a bunch of like cool teenagers and stuff that are just like, oh, look at this gross kid. And I did that, and I got the hell out of there, and I went back and sat next to my grandma like nothing ever happened.
So you just left all the
pretend
throw
that
up.
nothing happened.
You just left all the throw up on the floor.
I think someone's gonna find
just
it.
found it.
Yeah.
Somebody will figure it
That's
out.
what I would have done. You're only 8. You don't know. You
No.
don't know what to do.
I would not have
That's
told
so
anyone.
cute. Poor little 8-year-old Scott.
Oh,
It
that's
sounds
awful.
terrible.
I don't know if I've ever told my family that.
Oh, I'm so
Oh,
proud of you.
revelation.
I'm so proud of you for sharing that story. It sounds traumatizing. And
Well-
my heart goes out to the little 8-year-old Scott. I bet you were
Little
very cute.
Scott, who was so scared. Well, Sarah, you talked about growing up in a family where you like had to be perfect. I definitely grew up in a family where we gave each other shit all the time.
Oh, that's nice.
We are a very much ragging on each other family. And just the other night when we were at my oldest, like winter concert for band, my dad did something and I made fun of him because I was just like, oh, what are you doing? And he's like, where did you learn to talk like that? And I'm like, from you. Like, you, like, this is weird.
I'm watching you.
Yeah, the kind of family that we are, and thankfully we have such a good relationship with each other. We have a family group text. I have 2 siblings and my parents, so there's 5 of us. It is so much about like my mom has cancer in her eye.
Aw.
And it's like one of those cancers that never goes away, but they just keep monitoring it because they can't take it out. So she like lost all the vision in her left eye. So there's a whole lot of funny surrounding that now, of where my dad will stand on the left side of her
That's cute.
because she has to stand all the way around because she can't
Aw.
see. Like she went on a walk one day. Just like they live pretty close to the grocery. So she was just going out for her walk and had to pick something up at the grocery. And so she went all the way on her walk, all the way back home with whatever she needed from the grocery, gets home and walks into the bathroom and realizes that one lens of her sunglasses is completely gone. And she like is taking a selfie and she's like, I walked all the way to the grocery, all the way home. Don't know. The sunglasses were whole when I put them on my face. And so all of us are like laughing at her in the group text. And then I said, wait, didn't you notice that it suddenly got brighter? Like, I don't, and she goes, nope, left eye. So then we start sending like left eye gifts from TLC. Cause like that. God. So,
Okay.
so that's the kind of family that I am a part of. And I am an accident-prone person. I've always been an accident-prone person. I grew my family, and now that y'all have seen me in person, you know how tall I am. I am very tall. I grew really, really quickly. So I kind of lost, I was like the baby deer learning how to walk when I was like 12 and 13.
That makes sense.
Oh yeah, like watching my son, like my oldest, kind of just figure out these limbs, like all of a sudden they come out of nowhere. So we would go on hikes and stuff. I was notorious for finding water and falling in it. Like it would be like even a puddle. Like everybody is crossing, like it's not even a precarious log. It's like this long and we have to hop over this little stream. I fall in. I ruin all sorts of hikes because we have to turn around and go home. The car smells like swamp. So even to this day, I mean, it's been almost 30 years. Anytime we're out for a hike, I send pictures like, hey, here's what we find. We went and visited waterfalls when I was in Quebec. My family's like, oh, Corinne, be careful. There's a whole lot of water there. So it's that kind of stuff, just like over and over and over. I will never live down.
That sounds wonderful. Do you like that?
Yeah. It's because I give them the shit right back too. Like,
it seems like the best way to handle it. And what's your mom's first name?
Joan. My mom is Joan.
I love you, Joan. And my mom also has vision problems and she's mostly blind, and it's so hard. And I just want to let you know I love you, and I'm sorry you have that, but I think that it's great that everybody and that you make it funny.
It is
like I think that's the best way to do it.
She said, okay, I'll tell another, because my mother is lovely. She's taking tickets at the basketball game and like volunteering at the high school. My dad does my dad's a former radio guy. So he does a lot of sports announcing now. So he does our local high school basketball games and football games.
That's wonderful.
For that. He has a lot of fun doing it. So my mom tags along sometimes and she'll volunteer in other spaces. So she was taking tickets, but so she's like, her left is facing the door and her right is facing the basketball court. And she's like, I can't see people walking up when they're coming in to like give me their ticket. And so we were just like, well, turn around, Mom, so you can see the door out of your other eye. She's like, no, but I'm not going to see any balls that are flying at me. I need to see basketballs. And we were just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So it has been a very fun, like she's used to it now. I mean, she's compensated, she's used to it. But it was one of those things of like, a surgery going into it, you kind of knew that was a pretty big chance that would happen. But yeah, like, I mean, that's always how we've handled most things, is just kind of handling it in stride and laughing
The Fault
about
in Our
it.
Stars book, one of the main characters, it's Gus's best friend has eye cancer, and he'd already lost one eye vision and he was going to lose the other, and then he does lose it throughout the book. So I wonder how common that is, because you're the first person to tell me of an actual person that we know that has it. Man, cancer sucks.
It was weird when we found out that she had it. It had just been a few months earlier that one of my staffers at my former job had the same thing happen, and went through the same process, the same treatment, lost vision. So it was weird that I'd never heard of it before. And so it was weird that it was like two people that I knew, just like boom, boom. And, but thankfully, I mean, she keeps going back and she's doing really, really well. So I guess like the best outcome that you can hope is that it shrinks, and yeah, it's wonderful.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got one from when I was in 5th grade. So I was tall, not as tall as you, but I'm like 5'8.5". And I was the tallest kid in school until like 6th grade, when the kid I had a crush on, Billy, got tall enough, outgrew me. And so everybody's like, you'd be a great basketball player. So they wanted me to be on basketball. So I played kids basketball, girls basketball in 5th grade. I was not good. Also, we were very cheap. Like, we didn't have a ton of money. My dad played with the orchestra and my mom was the school teacher. So they didn't buy me fancy shoes for basketball. So every time we would run, and then it would be a turnover or whatever, whenever the ball would go and you have to go quickly to the other court, everybody else would stop and run to the other side. And I would stop and slide 6 feet and then turn and then run back. So that was always slightly embarrassing. I was like, here, I got to slide. and then go. And then I never even tried to make a basket, but if I did, I guess I did occasionally, but I never made one. And I'd never made a basket the whole season. So that tells you how great and brave I was at basketball. And another thing I remember is the coach would come and draw on his little dry erase board all these plays. And I would just be like, I had no idea what any of that meant. And I don't think anybody did except for the 2 players that were good. So it was basically get the ball and give it to one of the 2 players that are good, which is what we did anyway. But I never knew what those X's and circles and do. I just opened, yep, no clue. And so we're almost done with the season. I've never made a basket, but I'm like, okay, I really want to make a basket. So I have the ball. Nobody's down at my end of the court. And I'm like, this is my chance. Everybody's shouting at me. And I'm like, they're telling me to make this basket. I'm going to do it. So I shoot it. I make it. And then I realize wrong side of the court. I just scored 2 points for the other team. But you guys.
That's why there was nobody down there.
Yes. So this was so traumatizing. Nobody brought it up. I literally forgot this moment happened in my life until like 3 years ago when my dad brought it up. And all of a sudden my brain went, oh, and it all came rushing back. And I was like, I had blocked that. It was so traumatizing. Just remembered it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I've got one.
All right.
So, I actually, your story about your family really resonates, Corinne, because you guys sound a lot like my family, where we just give each other a hard time about everything, and I've got one with water and nature too. So,
Fun. Kindred spirits.
I was about 15, and we were up in northern Michigan on vacation, camping, fishing, hiking, sort of naturey stuff. Well, I'm not a fisherman. Like I don't fish a lot. I've done a couple times. It's not my thing. I know some guys live to go fishing on the weekend, right? That is not me. So we're fishing. We're standing on the pier. I have my little worm or whatever, and I cast my line, and I catch a duckling. A duckling took my hook. So what do? So I reeled it in, and I'm like, oh, now what? Because it swallowed the hook.
Oh,
poor duck.
And so if you try to pull it out, you're gonna hurt the thing. So we cut the line and just let it go and hope for the best. And later on, we're out in a boat and we see the same duck kind of tailing behind its family. Didn't look like it was having a very good time, sadly. But for years after that incident, my mom would always get me something duck related. Just like a little wooden duck or like a tin of something with ducks on it. And to this day, she will still give me a hard time about ducks and fishing. And that was like 30 years ago.
Does it help you? Did it help you getting the duck, or did it just bring it back and make it worse? Now that you're a full-on adult, did you like it? Did you wish it was less? What are your thoughts?
Oh, no. You've got to be able to laugh about bad
That's what I
things.
thought.
Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy.
Right. Yeah. So that's what we try to do with our family is tease. Like Micah, you know how many stories I have about my night terrors? You guys, I used to have night terrors. I used to wake up at 12 o'clock, frequently in high school, and think it was time to get ready for school. And I would start to get in the shower or get ready. And my dad would rush in and say, Sarah, it's 12 o'clock, go back to bed. And every once in a while, I would still get completely ready. One time, it was during this like weird week when my neighbor was fixing my hair in the 80s and like giving me like the big bangs. Maybe it was early 90s. And I called her to say, are you ready for me to come over? And I woke her up and she was like, what are you talking about? And then it was really hard for me to go back to sleep. And it was always on the night before a test. I was stressed about a test.
Yep.
And so I wake up early. But one time, the worst night terror I ever had, I had just seen X-Men 2. I don't know what year that came out, but I was in high school, I think. I don't know. So
I remember seeing that in the theaters. I feel like
do you remember in X-Men?
Late 90s.
I think it was X-Men 2. I don't think it was the first one. It might have been X-Men 1. It's the scene where these kids get taken out of the X school and they come in with helicopters.
Yeah.
And they take the kids and Wolverine tries to save them.
Yep.
So I'm having that dream because there's a storm going on. And I in my house, I live on the second story and I've got a door and then there's a window on the second story. And I wake up to the storm and I am actively living my nightmare, which is a helicopter is crashing into my door, coming into me where I have the wall. And if I don't get out the window, I'm going to die. So I jump up, run to my window, pull the window shade down. I have a lot of animal posters in my room. I'm tearing the animal posters down, and I'm trying to get out the window. And then my dad comes in and wakes me up. And I woke up with my heart pounding. And I go, oh, thank God that was a dream. Because I literally thought I was going to die. So that was my...
That's so scary. You know, that reminds me of, I think we talked about this the other day, Sarah, Mike Birbiglia, the comedian.
Yes, I've heard all of those. Yes.
If y'all are familiar with him, his special Sleepwalk with Me is phenomenal because he's
in a hotel. He's in a hotel on a second floor.
Jumps out the window because he thinks somebody's chasing him. I remember
literally breaks through glass and falls down and has to go to like the emergency room.
Yeah, and he didn't. He says like he woke up in the emergency room and that's like when he remembers what he did, but like fully launched himself out of a hotel room. Like,
so Mike Birbiglia now has to sleep in a room by himself and he has to be zipped up into some type of security sleeping bag with locks that he can't get out of. And then his wife has to lock him up and then open it up so that he doesn't hurt himself or others. So I'm glad I don't have it that bad. I don't really do it anymore, but my son does it now.
Yeah.
So
most people grow out of it. That's why it's so crazy that the poor Mike has it, but he's such a brilliant storyteller that you can listen to it and he wants you to laugh, obviously, but it's just like, it is crazy. Like that must be horrific to like knowing that you want to sleep, but you don't know. I think all of us can relate to that of like, I don't know what awaits me when I close my eyes, like what dreams could be there.
Yeah, I would love to hear other people's night terrors, but the worst one, I was dating my ex-husband in high school and they invited me on vacation in Outer Banks and they have a really big family. His mom's side of the family, they're really close. So all of them rented a giant beach house in Outer Banks and I got to be a part of it. And so it's 3 floors of like 20 people. And I'm on the bottom floor on a bunk bed above great Aunt Sharon, who I've never met before. So I go to bed super uncomfortable. I don't know this woman.
I don't weird. Oh, I can relate to this.
I don't know most of the people. It was like I didn't know most of the family. So I go to bed really uncomfortable. I have a dream that one of the kids I babysat for named Joey was being stung by a bunch of bees. This is like My Girl era. You know,
so that movie was trauma. God, that movie.
Well, I guess it was after that movie, but yeah, we have that famous scene. So anyway, I hear him calling me. I hear him saying, Sarah, help. I'm being stung by bees. Help me. I jump out of the second story or out of the bunk bed. I jump on top of 70-year-old great Aunt Sharon. I run out of the room screaming at the top of my lungs, Joey, I'm coming. I scream it multiple times as I run up 3 flights of stairs. I woke up every single person in that house. And I was trying to be so thankful that I'm going on this free vacation. And this is the first night. And that's how I repay them. And one woman, Kimmy, Aunt Kimmy, who I knew, she chased after me and caught me at the top of the stairs and woke me up and goes, who's Joey? And then I heard everybody else wake up and she goes, go back to bed. Everything's fine. And she like wouldn't let anybody say anything mean about me or, you know, what happened? Why she woke me up? She was like, And then the next morning, some of the younger kids were like, what was that? And she goes, nope. And so she stopped it and I am mortified.
I bet to be like with a strange family.
So that's pretty funny now.
Oh my gosh.
One time I dove down a flight of stairs in a state of probably like half asleep.
Oh my gosh. Did you hurt yourself?
No. Well, see, I was in bed. This is back at home. Still living with my mom. I don't know. Also probably about 15, 16. And I'm in bed and I hear like above my head, like, oh, what's that? And I wake up and it's a bat
Oh no.
Oh,
in my bedroom, flying around my head. So I face first dive down the stairs. I don't mess with bats. Like they're neat. I get it. Like they serve their purpose in the ecosystem and they eat bugs, but do not come in my house. You are not welcome there. So I go back upstairs. I put a laundry basket on my head and carry the tennis racket with me because I'm gonna get this thing. And by the time I get back up there, it had gone. It was sitting on my Windows screen, like on the inside, like on the screen, between the glass and the outside. So I pulled my box fan out of the window and let the screen close. And by morning, it was gone. But yeah, that I wish there was a picture of me in that.
oh my gosh.
My
The tennis,
battling
tennis
out.
racket though, that is the best. Because my sister used to live way out in the country and she would get bats a lot. And she also was like, I'm not dealing with this. And she would go wake up one of her kids to deal with it. So it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. She's waking up her oldest, and her oldest is just like, oh, what? Oh, there's a bat. Okay. And I'm pretty sure though, like she would catch them with a saucepan and a tennis racket.
Oh my gosh.
But the tennis racket, that's a good tool. You need to have that close by. If you got a bat problem, tennis racket. Yep.
That's funny. That's brave. Yeah, I would be scared. Like I love bats. I'm so thankful for them, but I don't want them in my house. I would be screaming. I love like the funniest home videos when like squirrels get in people's houses. I don't want that to happen to me personally, but I love watching those videos when they like jump on the pictures and the pictures fall and everybody's like freaking out. It's so funny. Yeah.
Man,
Okay.
I've seen some squirrel damage in some houses, and it's
Oh, yeah.
they will mess things up.
They
Yeah.
sure will.
It sounds
They don't
terrible,
mess
but
around.
so
Yeah.
funny.
And we could we have evidence in like our attic that because we can see like the nuts and stuff, like
Yep.
at some point squirrels have been in there and have wintered. We don't know how they get in, but it's like, let's just however they're
Hopefully
getting
there's
in,
a barrier between where they are and where we
Yep.
live.
Well,
That's right.
if you hear them scratching inside your walls, then you got a problem.
No, we cannot. And if we can live in peace, we can live in harmony, right? Don't show yourselves and you're fine. We're good. We can coexist.
So my hope of anybody watching this after the live is over is that if you have a funny story and you would like to put it in the comments, or if you're on TikTok now and you want to put it in the comments now, please tell us your embarrassing stories if you are comfortable with them. Maybe we can highlight them at the end of a show. We can say the funny ones. I want to talk about some things. We're going to be like, now that Dr. Tim Peck is off of his vacation and we're like getting things started with the media company, we're going to be making more shows. So I'm going to be doing a live show with Tim Wednesday, which is my 44th birthday, by the way.
Woohoo!
And
Happy birthday.
44 sounds old. Like, wow. Anyway. And
no, it's wise.
So we're going to do a show probably around lunchtime on Wednesday, where we might like talk to somebody. We haven't quite figured out, but it's going to be a new set of shows where we go on location. And Corinne and Scott will probably do some of these shows coming up too, where they go on location and interview people, and it'll be live. Instead of us sitting in our houses, it'll be at the place and we'll be talking to different people. And we're going to call those shows Project Next Lift Up Local, because we are talking to people out in our communities. So that will be our first one, will be Wednesday, and who knows what that'll be like. That'll be a trial and error thing. And the whole point of this media company is to show that you don't have to be perfect. A lot of people like to try to crucify you if you make a mistake. And once you realize it's okay to make mistakes, your life is so much better. So we want everybody to realize that as soon as possible. That is a nasty part of our culture. I kind of believe it's the way mean people control us, by like shining a light on, ooh, you messed up right there. And once you like get over that, you don't care that people are going to say that, life is so much better. So anyway,
and really, and
join
we've
us.
talked about this before too, Sarah, and I think Scott relates to this too. Like the people that are going to give you crap for trying something are the people that are too afraid to try it themselves, and they actually
yeah.
wish they had the guts.
Yes,
So,
they're jealous. They're
because
jealous.
we're willing
Yeah,
to make mistakes, we're willing to expose, we're willing to talk about when we've projectile vomited in an
And peed all
embarrassing
over ourselves.
situation. Like we're just like, you know, like we're willing to show that human side of us, and there are so many people that wish they could, and I think that's where it comes from. Yeah, a jealousy
And
an envy.
if anybody listening that might have some of that, have empathy for yourself. It's okay. I have been so judgmental in my life. Like seriously, I used to judge the crap out of everybody because I was very scared to do things. So I've been there. So I'm not judging, but I just say have empathy for yourself and then forgive yourself. And then please lessen the hate that you're projecting onto others. Lessen that hate. We need so much less hate online. If we gave ourselves grace, we could give others grace. And then I always say there's kind of two types of people. There's lots of types of people, but I like to say there's the judgers or the doers. I definitely used to be more of a judger, and now I'm way more of a doer, and it's way more fun to do the stuff than to sit back and criticize it.
Yep, because you got to come with your own ideas. And I do want to share real quick, because Joe just shared this on the TikTok. Joe said, when I was in high school, I caught a mouse in my bedroom because it crawled into an open bag of Doritos. And he said, my daughter thinks I'm crazy about food wrappers in her room now, but no, he's got experience. And I think for any of us who have either been a teenage boy, Scott, or are raising teenage boys, the fact that there's not like entire ecosystems of scavengers living in food wrappers and bowls of cereal in my children's rooms, there have been so many times that I'm like going to like pick something up and I just brace myself because I don't know what's going to be there. But Joe, no, you learned a good lesson, Joe.
Joe, you literally made my day, because my whole hope was that somebody would tell us a funny story, and that one's hilarious, and it also sounds terrible, and I would be a freak about the rappers too.
Well, because just think about like hearing that sound. You know, I think any of us that have heard that sound, like a mouse or a chipmunk or something, and to be like, if you're just waking up and there's just a bag of Doritos like just barely moving, oh, that's creepy. That's so creepy.
Oh.
Yeah, my mother-in-law had a whole mouse infestation this year. It was a nightmare.
Oh, it's awful.
It was terrible.
It's difficult to get rid of them too. They really get. Joe says he hears it in his nightmares now. I'm sure it's
any crinkling
so many years, but that stuff never leaves you.
No. I mean, okay, so if his daughter's watching, this is a great way to play a prank on your dad. I mean, crinkle up some wrappers sometimes, you know? I mean, this sounds so easy.
Yeah.
or go in the other direction if dad wants to teach his daughter a lesson about those food wrappers in her room. You know,
put a snake in there or something and crinkle it up like a fake one, you know?
Joe says, stop. Or one of those like crank up mice or something that you can just stick in a bag of chips and he could be like, I told you, it's real.
No, this one's too easy to continue the madness. So good luck. Okay. The other way, you know, mental breathing strategies, you know, yoga stuff to help deal with the stress. That's the other way. So you could go either way. You could easily make the sound and scare them to death, or you can, you know, good luck, Joe. We appreciate you sharing the story. That's hilarious. Let's see. We're getting pretty excited. We're going to be filming promos this week. Yep. We're going to try to make 30-second commercials that are entertaining and explain Project Next. For those of you watching, if you wouldn't mind trying to share this out, like send it to, like text the YouTube channel to your friends, tag us, share us with your friends on Facebook. You can invite your friends to follow our stuff. If you wouldn't mind doing that, that's the next step we're taking. We've got shows. We're getting good stuff. We're going to keep getting better. We're going to get more shows, but we need to grow. And then hopefully we can help more people. That's the goal, is to unite everybody. help you get more involved in your community, help you to be more vulnerable and open and honest with yourself so that you can be more open and honest with others and so that you can live a happier life. Because life's hard right now. Life's hard right now. So if I wasn't making this network, I would be stressed out, and I refuse to be stressed out. So I'm literally making a media company to try to help me and others. That's the goal this week. I want to thank Scott and Corinne for doing this with me and Tim. And I want to thank all of you all for watching. We love you all so much. And you guys got any last thoughts?
I want to shout out Scott really quick. Scott, I think you have done some phenomenal interviews. So for those of you who don't know, Scott does interviews for Who's Left. He has his latest one up on YouTube. Scott, maybe I'm biased. I think this is one of the best interviews that you've ever done. Scott interviewed a college student from Butler, right?
Yeah.
Earlier this week. And he's a man, he's 20, I believe.
21, I think he said.
21?
He was, but,
okay.
He's just a kid.
He's just a kid. But that interview was so enlightening. It was not only as somebody I've got teenage boys that I'm raising, but as an older generation wanting to understand a little, peek into the mind of especially the 20-something white dude right now. Mm-hmm. It was an excellent interview. And that dude is bright. I'm excited to see what he's going to do with the rest of his life. But what he showed in that interview was such a willingness to be open and vulnerable and honest with you. That to me was one of the most remarkable pieces of his personality as a 21-year-old. So well done on that interview, Scott. I encourage everybody to go to Who's Left on YouTube and watch that. Yeah. I think that should be required viewing, honestly, for anybody.
And you can also download it as a podcast.
Listen to it as a podcast too.
I see the clips that he posts on social media, so I like to see what the guests look like. But then I listen to it while I'm doing my morning chores and stuff like that. Yeah. So great job, Scott. I'm hopeful. I think Scott's, going to try some stuff out for Project Next and actually go out and interview young people, young men out where he lives in Bloomington. And we'll get that for Project Next because we're obviously thinking different things in America. We're very divided and we are kind of scared as to how do we tackle this. And I think one of the easiest answers is we literally go and talk to people and care about them. We care about them even if they think wrong things, even if they think very differently than us. We just give a crap about them and we ask them about it and we have an open, honest conversation. So I am excited about that, Scott. You want to talk about that at any, or we didn't plan it. So.
Well, I you know what? I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna tackle that yet. And I think we've all got some brainstorming to do, and
I'm excited
where that projects go. But I do want to plug tomorrow's episode.
Ooh, yes.
I'm talking to Jen Senko, documentary filmmaker who made the film The Brainwashing of My Dad. It came out, I want to say 2016, and
I've heard of that.
Still very relevant. Talks about how the talk radio complex and the opinion news complex was sort of put into place, and how that infrastructure was used to change the personalities, particularly of older men at that time when she was doing that film. But these same strategies basically have been adapted now to younger men for the next generation.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait for that interview. I've heard her speak on other people's podcasts before. I can't believe you got that interview.
That's a good get, Scott.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, she's a good interview. She's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to that tomorrow morning. Thanks for plugging that. So Who's Left is HOOSLEFT. I have an iPhone, so I just get it on my Apple Podcast, but it's on Spotify. It's on all the major places where you get podcasts, right, Scott? And then you can also watch it YouTube. I think you can find, if you follow him on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. You can find it there too. Scott does a good job of putting clips out of the interviews as well. I've learned so much from your stuff, Scott.
Yeah.
Just like I learned so much from your stuff, Corinne, about Indiana politics. I think also just plugging more of our shows, we're going to have more stuff with Corinne and politics, local politics. Corinne interviewing people that are involved and really finding out what can we actually do as one person that lives in your town or your state. What could you actually do to help make your area better? Because sometimes we feel very helpless, especially with national news, and we're not helpless. We do have a lot of power. And I think with Corinne's show, I think you're really going to help show people what to do. I noticed on your TikTok, I think you just posted it maybe today or yesterday. You had one where you said if you were upset about the Nazi stuff, right? Yahtzee stuff. Is that what we have to say?
I think we can say Nazi on here, but on TikTok we have to say Yahtzee, which is
so the Yahtzee stuff.
Yeah.
She posted a link on her website where you can go and send it to leaders in Indiana to try to say you should take a stand against this hate. This isn't appropriate. And I thought that was really beautiful, Corinne. Corinne's just a regular person out here making it easier for all of us to work together to stop hate, because that's another reason why we have this, why we're doing what we're doing. We need to make the community where we live better.
And safer. And it should feel safe. And our lawmakers should be able to say, I represent everybody. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I want to make it easier. I think I'm going to try to do that a little more often with some of the form letters, because I do think it's intimidating. It's like, oh, I have to write my lawmaker. What do I say? Even though it doesn't feel intimidating.
You even showed how to find your
legislator.
I wouldn't know if I didn't run for State House who my local leaders were. I had to literally run myself to figure it all out. So it's confusing. So I just wanted to applaud you for doing that. I think it's genius and amazing. And I think it's one of the best ways we can help our community. So thanks for using I saw you got 26.5 thousand followers. You got like 400 more in like a day or something.
Oh yeah. That video, I think I've gone up almost 1,000. And really, like, it's so funny because you talk about just being yourself and being natural, like it was yesterday morning. I was still in my pajamas. My hair was up. I had no makeup on.
You always look cute. It doesn't matter.
Good lighting. I always say that's the key. But my friend sent me that picture and I was just the rage. And so it was just an off the cuff rant. And that resonated with people because I was really careful, because I've talked about this before and I've used the wrong words, and it's pretty crazy to see the videos where I have said pew pew instead of gun do better. The videos where I have said Yahtzee instead of Nazi do better. Like there's a filtering like you have to learn it entirely. It's like learning Klingon or something. Like you have to learn it entirely.
I see it sometimes and I don't understand it. So now you're making it make more sense. Now that
I always see talk of like, corn and
grape. I know I had to call somebody
say the word with asterisks.
The corn actor, or you have to say like that.
I just now got what that is. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Like I say corn actor, or I say I say that reproductive healthcare procedure. Like I don't say the word of it, or I just say legalization instead of cannabis legalization. So
interesting.
There's a whole different language there, but it shows that when I said Yahtzee, I didn't have to say what it was. I didn't have to say the S word of what the symbol was. I just said Yahtzee symbol. And so those are the ones that I say like go Indiana viral, because I get like 30,000 views or something. So those are, but it shows that those are the kind of videos that show me that, most of us still think this is horrible. Even though whatever has happened that made somebody feel very comfortable to put that in their front yard, most of us are still appalled and still horrified. And that's like comforting in some way, I guess, given the you know, because there should be nothing political. It shouldn't be divisive. We should all be able to say that's bad.
So the biggest thing, I'm wondering if you guys want to do a live about this week. The biggest thing I'm still struggling with how to handle is I ran as a Democrat. I'm more of a Democrat because that's how I can be me. I'm just me. I'm not going to go to one side because they're telling me to act a certain way. No, I'm going to be 100% me and try to do what I think is moral. I am struggling with the hate on both sides. I have a lot of people that I love tremendously spewing the hate online about the other side. And my question to them is, how are we going to make our communities better if we keep doing this? Because it's just going to make the other side hate us more. It's just going to make them more their way because they're going to be hurt by the hate that we're spewing. But I see from them, they're hurt. They're hurt from the other side. It's very painful right now because of our future and our uncertainty. I don't know how to tell these people that I love that they're making the problem worse. They're legit making this worse. It didn't help. It could have been part of the reason the election went the way it did, because we're dividing more than connecting. And in order to connect, we have to be extremely healthy versions of ourselves. We have to not take stuff personal, and it is so hard. And it's hard. And I used to say the mean things. Well, you know, when the pandemic first started, I don't do it anymore. But it's not like I think I'm better than anybody else. I'm not saying I'm better.
3 of us can get together and do another show on this.
I think we should talk about it. I
know Scott has a lot of thoughts. I mean, we've had these conversations kind of offline on our own. I think, I think we should maybe this is our next show. What do you think?
Yeah, and Joe just said something good on TikTok. He said, we need a new phrase for the other side, as in itself, it sounds divisive. I agree with you. I don't want to sound divisive at all. I love so many people that vote the other way or think differently than I do. So I don't want to be divisive. So yes, thank you. We need to think of another way to even say it, because I don't want to turn anybody off. I want to let people know we care about them. But I want to have a conversation about it.
Yeah, and let's have a conversation about it.
I think it's the thing that we don't talk about the most because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I think it's something that we usually just don't say. And I just am all for let's clean the air. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that sounds like
this is very much. Yeah, this is very much kind of what I'm working on as my sort of closing thoughts for my episode tomorrow with Jen Senko. After the interview, you know, I'll have my little essay or whatever, and this is very much one of the things that I mean to talk about, is how we keep the dialogue open and how we sort of pull people back from the edge, because divisiveness, us versus them, blame, they're effective. You know, there's psychological roots to why these things work. You know, they triggers our fear response. It triggers our amygdala. And so from an evolutionary standpoint, this is something you have to deal with right now, you know, big flashing bright lights. Hey, and it's used to scare people and get them worked into a frenzy, and it's effective. So,
so let's talk. When do you guys want to talk? I think we should listen to Scott's episode. It'll come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you two have a day this week? I can't do Wednesday. But I'm free other days. I don't know if Tuesday night is open.
I can look at my calendar. We can figure that out. Let's just
we'll talk about it. We'll do it later. So let's try that for our next live, you guys.
Yeah.
And if you are struggling with this, how do you show compassion when these people are hurting your feelings? Let's talk about it. So yeah.
And we've got some great suggestions in the chat. Blythe told us to read Nonviolent Communication. That is a great way to interact. Joe says he's struggling being in the same room with certain people. So
yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll give you a little sneak preview of the episode, even if you don't get a chance to listen. There's a couple organizations that Jen mentioned. One was Smart Politics, and I want to say their website is like joinsmart.org, and the other one is hearyourselfthink.org, and they're both dedicated to just keeping dialogue open with people we disagree with politically.
That's
I want to
great.
thank you, Scott, for putting these podcasts out, talking to these people, because we need that.
Yeah.
We need
All
that.
right.
Like, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you guys are awesome. Love you all. Love all the viewers. Please share this stuff as much as you can. Joe, you really made my day.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, this was great. Love you guys so much. Thanks for letting me tell you about my traumatizing surgery day.
So glad you're on the road to recovery.
I can't wait
Yeah.
till I get to run. I'm so excited when I can run again. All right. Love you
Thanks,
guys.
everybody. Bye. Love y'all.
Hey,
and
good
we'll
talking to everybody.
see you
Y'all have a
soon.
good Sunday.